Hey, legends, welcome back to the Mason Cox Show. Big episode. We have 264 points were scored in the game this weekend up in Darwin. I don't even know how we're going to get into that one. We have a 1-point winner over there in Adelaide. Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn. Hawthorn thought they had it wrapped up. Not so much. Then we had the Collingwood versus Adelaide game. An absolute thriller with Jordan De Goey. Ice in the veins. We'll get into that one. It's all in this episode starting now. All right, there's a lot in this week. There's a big game and a big score to start this one off. But before we do anything, we have to introduce the man from Rochi. That is Brayden. Welcome to the pod.
I don't want to be associated with Rochi people. I claim Echuca, represent 3564.
Don't know if it's much better.
Let's jump into my clanger because we were celebrating this man just a week ago, 300 games, Kel Ward. Maybe once you tick over into the 300, you start getting a little, you're a bit old. You're kind of going over the hill.
Yep.
Bit grey hair. You start, where am I? Which way are we going? Kel Ward out of the stoppage. Used to play for the Bulldogs in his defence. Kicked it backwards, the wrong way. Kicked it straight to the oppo, right in front of goals. It's just not one that, I don't know. He laughed it off. So it is funny.
Bulldogs did mark it and kick a goal, so
Coach wouldn't have been laughing too much, but it was one of those ones. The old fella just accidentally kicked it the wrong way to the Bulldogs, who did go back and kick a goal, but rough.
Those things happen, right?
Those things
not often. They have been known to happen before.
They've happened before. I remember Mel Michael playing for Essendon, loaded up and kicked it into the third tier. And realised it wasn't his goals.
Oh, God.
So it was like the most emphatic rush behind of all time. So it does happen.
It does happen. It happens to the nicest people.
What about you? Do you have a clanger this week?
I'm going to go anti-clanger. I'm going to do the opposite of what a clanger is, maybe a shout-out. And I'm going to shout out, it is Indigenous round this week, and I just was looking at, as you do, you judge the jumpers, and there's some that, you'd say some are better than others, and some a bit of work. They're all good. But I think overall this year, I couldn't find one jumper I didn't love. I loved every single one of them. We had some incredible jumpers out there, and it's a great opportunity for Indigenous artists to be able to be involved in creating the artwork that goes on these things. It's a massive shout out to them. So I'm going to go an anti-clanger, and I'm just say Indigenous round overall, from the footies to the jumpers and all the different stuff that happened this week. I'm going to say credit to the IFL. Does not happen very often, Brayden.
Wow.
But I will say credit to the IFL, but more importantly, the people that make it happen.
If you had, you can't say Collingwood because we'll get into the meaning behind the Collingwood jumper and all of that later on. If you had to pick a favourite, my favourite, North Melbourne. It was amazing. Good. It was like the contrast of the light blue, dark blue, white. It looks so clean and crisp. It was awesome.
Yeah, I actually, this is kind of weird, but I actually loved Adelaide's. I was sitting there lining up. I'm checking out the fellow in front. I like that. Yeah, that's a good little thing. And they had one of their players actually design it, which was really cool.
That's
so,
sick.
Pretty interesting, which I love that part of it.
There is a clang in this because Essendon had to recall their jumper because they put the Tiwi Islands the wrong way around on the jumper.
Gosh.
So they had to recall it from the shop, and then they just fixed it on their playing kit before the game. So a bit of a clanger there.
All right, we won't talk too much about that. We'll move into the footy games for the week. We'll start off with the Gold Coast Suns, 164. Yes, you heard that right. 164 points to Geelong, 100.
Which is still crazy.
Just 264 points in a footy game is just absurd nowadays.
Yeah, it was the highest score in Gold Coast Suns history. Like, they hadn't cracked the 150 mark. So they blew past that, 164. Their previous biggest score was also against Geelong. So they're a bit of Gold Coast bunnies, the Geelong team. But it was amazing to see because said it a couple of weeks ago that Gold Coast have been in a position like this and then they don't progress.
Yeah.
Whereas like the other week it was like that was against Brisbane for that the rivalry round, and it was like they need to be like beating Brisbane, and they didn't get across the line.
Yeah.
This was the next chance of something similar to that.
Point.
And they did it emphatically. It was a massive win. They kind of had it the whole way through. Sam De Koning out, which hurt. He was laid out with hamstring tightness.
Yeah.
But that was kind of evened up early when Mac Andrew, there was a big collision, and it looked kind of like he corked his leg and then went off. So he's a really important player down back for him. But, geez, they had some goal kickers.
Bailey Humphrey kicked 5. Now, you look at me kind of weird because I don't know exactly how we're going to make this sound effect with Humphrey.
Well, I'm trying to think of like a Humphrey B. Bear type something.
See, we're different. I thought of Bailey's the alcoholic brand.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's a weird one.
We'll let
Bailey
the people
Humphrey.
have a bit of a thought of what the Humphrey might be.
Yeah, he did like it was a very unique. So earlier in the year, in the preseason, Dimmer came out. I think Dimmer's loving most of his players up there because he keeps comparing them all to like the best of the best. But he said that Bailey Humphrey was a similar player to Dusty and Jordan De Goey. So no pressure.
That's kind of praises a bit, yeah.
Hey, but then he comes out and he kicks 5 goals up in Darwin, not easy conditions. And at one stage he turned around and shushed the crowd.
Oh, big fan of that.
It's pretty.
Although kind of weird because it's their home ground essentially at TIO.
Yeah. And it's Darwin. So it's like at the MCG, like when you do it, there's a wall of thousands and thousands of people, and it's not indiscriminate. It could be to everyone or whatever. At TIO, you're basically turning around to 4 or 5 people and telling them to shut up. I think it's a bit harsh, but I like to see it. I like to see the personality. But he played a really good game. Lukosius, he kicked 5 as well, and King kind of late kicked 4, but he wasn't in. Like it took him a bit to get into the game because the conditions up there is
wet,
like
essentially.
Yeah. Playing with a bar of soap.
Yep.
But they got 12,000 up there for that game. And it was, majority were like Geelong fans. Like the crowd was really getting into it when Geelong did give them something to cheer for. But it shows, I reckon, that like there's going to be some times where they being the AFL has to kind of, and the clubs, have to put aside like money making and do it for the growth of the game because like, most of the times they're getting Gold Coast versus North or whatever, the show out isn't that impressive. But when you get like a big team up there, like
you're getting 264 points in a game, you'd be pretty happy. Yeah. Also, a little shout out, I saw someone there over the weekend, Surioli.
How cool.
How cool was that? First game, I think it was in like 6 years or something he's been to. Was looked after by Geelong, so unfortunately that's sad to be supporting the team that lost. And to be honest, going into this game, you'd probably be punting for Geelong in the first place. But yeah, a little shout out to that. That was kind of cool over the weekend to see him down there. Come down from, I think he's living in the Tiwis, I want to say now. Yeah. So that was cool to see him down at the stadium. But
shout outs to us as well. I sent you a message after a couple of games, and I was like, we are on fire for a footy analysis.
We should start a podcast.
Oh, it's wild. We picked everything and how they were going to do it too. We were pretty confident. Someone sent us a message going, can't believe you're not on the Cats. And it's, well, that's why we have a podcast. And you're in the comments section.
Hey, Brayden. All right, we'll move into the next game, Sydney Carlton. Now, this is a bit of a thumping. Sydney 117 to Carlton 65. And Sydney's looking the goods right now. They're top of the ladder, and they're not looking like they're slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, well, if you look at the top 4, I'm not, like, outside of Sydney, outside of anyone, really, from second down, no one's really that convincing. Like, Essendon's getting the job done or whatever, but against, North and stuff like that.
A few easy games,
they've had a few easy games, but Sydney are dominating. Percentage of 154.7. That's dominating. They're going to be hard to catch. They're a game and a half clear because Essendon have the draw. But yeah, it's pretty wild. And it was pretty much exactly what we said. It was the midfield got on top and they tried to, stifle Warner's impact on the game by following him around. And then as Sydney do, they've got so many mids that are so good. Eventually, one of the other ones get off the chain. So then they moved to Heaney, who kicked the goal and was getting into the game. And then Chad kicks a goal. So then they go to Chad, and then Heaney kicks a goal, and then Chad kicks a goal. And they ended up, Warner, 28 touches, 3 goals. Heaney, 24 touches, 3 goals. So it's like, how do you stop them?
Yeah, do you need 3 taggers, essentially, to roll into the midfield?
It's pretty wild. And then you need someone to, rough them up a bit. And you got James Rowbottom, someone that's hardly praised out of like all of their midfielders, but he got 19 disposals, 16 tackles. He almost had more tackles than touches.
That's actually incredible.
Yeah, 6 clearances and a goal. So he had a pretty rounded game. But yeah, they were, I don't know, Sydney are looking scary. They kicked, so Carlton came out, as they do. They get these fast starts.
Yeah, they do.
They kicked the first 4 goals, and it was looking like Sydney
Everyone
might
gets
be
real
a little
hyped up.
rattled or whatever. But Sydney kicked 14 of the next 16 goals.
Yeesh.
Just a stomping.
Oh.
But, Wiedering went out, so yeah.
He's the lockdown defender. I feel like he's the kind of the organizer and a bit of the commander down back. He's had a bit of this injury, quirky issues over the last kind of few weeks that's happened. So I'm not sure kind of what they're going to do with him over the next couple of weeks or next week. If they're going to maybe give him a bit of a rest, I'm not sure. But it's a tough one to not be at 100% capacity and then know that you're one of the commanders down back to be able to get everyone in the right positions at the right times.
Have you ever had a real bad corky?
Yes, I have many a times.
I don't know.
They're terrible. And then they can calcify too. It's like you feel it every step. You can't bend your leg past a certain degree. It's not fun. It's actually really bad. You can get a blood clotting in your leg because of it. And there's people have had footy players have had to cut open their leg to get the blood clot out.
That's wild.
It can get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So hopefully he doesn't have any of that.
Good luck managing that.
Oh man, but Sydney looking the goods like we said, and Carlton. Fast start. They're good at the fast starts. They're just gonna be able to finish the game. But we'll move into the next game because I've got some questions for you, Brayden. I'm not really too sure what's happening, but this game, your GWS has scored 43 points to Western Bulldogs, who we had question marks over this game, scored 70 points. And they've almost it was a tough one for your boys out in West.
Yeah, this one was at NG Stadium.
Brayden, your words, not mine.
Didn't see many memes about no one turning up, but
how many were there?
30, 40 fans.
7,747.
I'll give it to them. It was pissing rain. So that's what you can say. But 43, we've seen a lot of games this year where they're scoring 40s and 50s and stuff. I don't know what the deal is. If defense has just gotten stingier, tighter, or if it's game style or whatever, because we're either getting 160 to 100 or we're getting 40 v 50. But this one, as I said, was pissing rain. Doesn't help when Cal Ward's kicking them the ball backwards. But, Doggies on a bit of a run. They won by 90-odd last week, and they got almost 30. So this one was, I felt like the media just let the Bulldogs have a pass last week. Yeah. And then they were ready to pounce post this game.
100% ready.
And they came out, and now they're on 2 in a row, silence to the haters. As always, Adam Treloar dominant, 35 touches, 7 clearances. He's got to be leading their best and fairest. But no one talks about it because they talk about Bont.
The go-to.
But I feel like he's being disrespected in a way externally. But surely internally, they're loving what he does.
Bit of interesting fact here. Now, the Bulldogs kicked 8-22. 22 behinds, and GWS kicked 6-7.
So they really could have.
So they could have been a lot worse than probably what the scoreline actually told.
That is, I don't know what's happened to GWS because they were the team. Only a couple of weeks ago, they were the team that was right up there, and I don't know, they're kind of really fading away. But I don't you normally look towards injuries and all of that. They had Sam Taylor back, and they got all their forwards. Their midfield's still really strong.
Hogan's still going well. Hogan kicked 3 goals over the weekend. So he's kind of the shining light in their forward line at the moment,
it was his milestone game. So 150, you could really tell that he wanted to kick a bag. There's a couple where he wasn't getting free kicks and he was blowing up.
Welcome to the club, mate.
That's like a guy that's really trying to kick as many goals as possible. But yeah, Caleb Daniels subbed out.
He got subbed in for the fourth quarter.
Subbed in. So how confused would you be if
it's a rough experience for him at the moment of in out. Not really too sure what's going on with him in the club and probably the future of what's happening, given the fact that he's not giving the opportunities as he did in the past. So it's gonna be one of those you gotta keep an eye on with old Caleb Daniel. He's a great fella, great player, one of the best kicks in the league. So. You hope that he gets kind of a bit more game time and hopefully can make a bit of damage for the Bulldogs. But he's one of those players that's kind of on the verge at the moment.
Yeah, if doggies are on a run now, they're going to be because we know that how much talent they've got out there. They got like such a stacked forward line. Midfield racks it up. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's see. We'll hold on that one.
Hold on that one.
We'll jump over to St Kilda versus Freo. Picked this. I thought Freo was going to win. I don't know what I said on the podcast, but I picked this. Watched the game. It was a good one. It was typical from both teams, and this is the Ross Lyon Cup.
Ross Lyon Cup.
But there was
the Birkenstocks Cup.
There's a few interesting things to come out of this one. Jimmy Webster for starters.
Yeesh.
I'm standing up for him because everyone saw that it was Jimmy Webster and automatically went, yeah, we remember what happened with the Jaya Simpkins stuff. Guilty.
Anyone else wouldn't have been a story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but they showed the slow-mo replay. He had eyes for the ball the entire time, and it was just unfortunate that he hit Frederick. Yeah. Unfortunately, it actually ended up being like a positive result. Like, we don't want to see like concussions and people going off, but like the way that looked, and like
it could have been a lot worse.
All the medical staff got out there and they were kind of bracing his neck and all that stuff. You thought that, the cart would come out and get him, but like he was able to run off the ground and he was subbed out, but it's still a positive result from what it looked like.
Yeah, it could. I feel like it could have been a lot worse given the scenario of going back with a flight like that and someone else just going and cleaning you up. Never something you want to see. It is part of the game, unfortunately. But hopefully Frederick's okay. He went out with concussion, so didn't come back into the game. We'll take his 12 days on the sidelines. But talking about other parts of this game, the Dockers kicked 9-18.
Yeah, shocking.
In front of goal. Now, it wasn't wet.
No.
It was at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah.
And they've had a couple weeks like this.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic at the moment.
It's a bit of a trend.
It's a thing that, and as a coach, I don't know what to do, right? Like, do you make a thing of it or do you not make a thing of it and say it'll fix itself? Or do you kind of don't want to overcorrect because then you kind of put more pressure on it. It's front of mind whenever you're setting up for a set shot. So whenever I see these things, I don't know exactly how to handle it. I don't know what the best situation is as a coach, but that's 2 weeks in a row they've been struggling in front of goals, and it's going to be an interesting one because at Marvel Stadium there's a roof over it, so there's not a ton of excuses you can have.
You can tell it starts to become a bit of a team curse, like when it's like, oh god, all my teammates are missing, I need to kick this.
Yeah,
like there's a couple. A bit. So you need your forwards to go back and kick them. I tell you what, Dick Tracy, get it in that man's hand.
Yes,
he doesn't miss, but
does not miss.
They kept moving him up the ground, and then they had Jaya missing everything. So.
Well, they did kick 9 straight behinds at one point, but there's another talking point coming out of this. Now, we talked about Alex Pearce. We've given him a fair bit of praise on this podcast.
He's been so good this year.
Yeah, and he was lined up against King this weekend. Very, very good forward, very dominant forward, you'd say, in this league. Kept him to 1 behind and got in his head a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
You could tell.
So he was not too happy probably with the way the situation was going. And at one point, did a little sling tackle on Alex Pearce. So not a great look. Will be looked at by the MRO, and we'll see kind of where that ends, whether or not he gets a suspension or how it kind of pans out. But, Alex Pearce getting in people's heads. Love it. Absolutely love it.
There's a really cool moment where King got his hands on it. He clunked one and turned around and hit the ball into Alex Pearce's chest to be like, look, I got it.
I got one.
Then went back and kicked the point.
Oh.
That's always the risk with the up-front showboating.
You got to wait till you kick the goal,
mate.
You got to
wait, kick the goal, and then showboat. That's a rookie mistake.
But 2 people I could have showboat during the whole day was the rucks. That far out. I love a ruck competition. And to be honest here, whenever you got a ruck like Marshall and Jackson going against each other, it's going to be bulk disposals between the two of them. Rowan Marshall had the most fantasy points on the day, I want to say it was, with 31 disposals, 38 hitouts, 8 clearances, while Jackson had 25 disposals, 40 hitouts, and 10 clearances. Safe to say they filled their boots. And it was just one of those where you got these 2 dynamic rucks just going at each other, and essentially had another extra mid in the midfield with those boys running around. So that was one of the things I think coming out of this, you looked at and said, look, these 2 guys could be the future of their clubs, being able to help their midfield out like that. And it reminds me of a young Brody Grundy, you could say.
You're going to say young Mason Cox.
Fuck no.
I like Jackson is, for the amount of shit that they gave him early days going across to Fremantle, and then they were questioning like the picks that they had to give up for him. he's definitely going to pay that off over the course of his career.
For sure.
He's so dynamic. He can, it's like you said, he's just another midfielder, but then he can go forward and take marks and kick goals. And not that they need more forwards. They got so many forwards.
Yeah.
Share some forwards around. But he's an amazing player. And Marshall, it's a guarantee that he's going to get bulk pill and that many clearances. It's crazy.
Well, moving to the next game, Brisbane versus Richmond. This was a bit of a thumping over at the Gabba.
Yeah.
And, it's we got two people we need to figure out the sound of the week for. We got Kyle Lohman, who kicked 5, and Charlie Cameron also kicked 5. So
I feel like Kyle Lohman's that all my friends have a low rider or whatever that song.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Actually,
Charlie's got his own song.
Charlie's always got a song.
He's got his own song.
He actually started the trend. Oh, man. But yeah, Lions kicked 6 goals in the opening at 20 minutes, and pretty much from then on out, it was going to be a tough run for Richmond and never looked close.
I watched this one out at a pub. And no, I didn't watch. I was watching the Freo game, and that how they got the score down in the bottom right hand corner, and you can kind of see it ticking over. That thing was ticking. It was like every time I took out my phone, I'm like, oh, Lohman kicked the goal, put it away. Oh, it's ticked over again. Pull my phone. Oh, Lohman's kicked a goal. It's like what is happening?
They scored 10 unanswered goals in the second quarter.
Yeah, in the second quarter. Just started and it already ticked over a goal. I was like, what is, they're going nuts.
It's tough. It's tough for Richmond. You feel for them because they've got 15 players on the injury list, and then there was 2 more over the weekend, Lafau and Manziel.
Which I love
Both
Lafau.
didn't finish the game. He's one of my favorite kind of up-and-coming players right now, obviously picked up this year. And he's just got that little, he's got a little, juke nature about him. He's just kind of, he'll sell candy till the cows
He's got
come home.
a goose step, which no one has and no one's really added to their game.
Yeah.
So it's something that's a massive advantage. He gives a little goose step, and if they do, not fall for it, he hits them with that stiff arm and they stay hit.
He's a strong fella.
He's like one of their best forwards, and he's super done it. Fag said after the game that he really feels sorry for Adamuze because he's been in the same position.
Yeah, he has.
It's got to be a dark little place where you're just you've got no players.
New coach, no players, they're healthy. You're just waiting for that kind of those key players to come back. But it's going to be a very tough time to be a Richmond fan for the next year, I think.
Did you see Archie's hanger? Do you reckon he's got Jamie Elliott covered?
No, I'll never say he's got Jamie Elliott covered. I don't know what they win for Mark of the Year nowadays. It used to be a free car. Now I think it's just maybe a Red Rooster freaking gift certificate or something.
Nick Natanui won a year's supply of Wheat Bix.
What a look, that's just rough. I mean, if you get 6 Wheat Bix a day, I don't know how someone can do the calculation of how much money you're really saving.
I feel like Nick Nat could put away.
He could put away a few Wheat Bix outside, but still, give him a car.
Yeah.
Give him a car. Come on. Toyota, you're a sponsor of the IFL. Give him a new Hilux.
I think John O'Brien won a year's supply of Carlton Draft.
Golly,
that's a bit better.
That'd actually be a money-saving experience for him.
Problem is that you can't drink during the year. So you just got to go hard for half a year.
I think back in those days, a bit more looser. We're going to the next game. We're at Essendon versus North Melbourne. Essendon, second on the ladder.
Wow.
Wowee. That's what I would say. I don't think a lot of people would pick that at the very beginning of the year, but as we mentioned before in this podcast, it's a credit to their off-season plans and some of the people they've got in. But
the 8-year window.
The 8-year window, it's getting there. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a shorter time window. Who knows? But it is, I think, the game for Goldstein Mackay.
Yeah.
Used to play for North Melbourne, swapped over to Essendon, and let's just say the North Melbourne faithful, not too kind. Lots of boos for those two people during the weekend.
Yeah, if you're going to boo, I feel like, obviously controversial opinion, I think you can boo Mackay. I don't think you can boo Goldstein.
Okay, yeah. Goldstein, a bit older.
He'd been there for 40 years.
The club was kind of almost forcing him out. I almost kind of felt like.
He almost founded the club. He's been there that long. But at the same time, if you're Ben Mackay and you're getting booed, you'd be like, mate, I won 8 games in 9 years or something. I needed a spell. Get off my back.
Yeah, it's a tough.
I feel like they're booing because they're if I still have to go for this club, you should still have to play for them.
That's rough. That is so rough. Oh, man. Well, I will say this, though. It actually was a tight game until halftime.
Yeah.
Halftime, I was sitting there looking at the score going, oh, my gosh.
You know what's wild?
What is happening here?
North won a quarter.
Yeah.
They won a quarter. That's like big.
I thought Essendon was going to roll North. And then I got to halftime. I saw the score and I was like, I might have to tune into this. I might have to actually see the second half here. Yeah. Oh, man. But before the game, Darcy Parish withdrawn from the side with calf and tightness. Hopefully he's okay.
He has been a bit down on numbers, so I wonder if it's something that's been lingering.
Don't know. You never know. Essendon did kick 9-4 after halftime. And I think once they broke the levy there, just kind of, the game was pretty much done from then on out. But they did win the contested marks 14-2. And whenever a team does that, it's very tough to be able to keep field position whenever a team's just clunking them in contested marks. Sheasel, 32 disposals, 6 inside 50s, 8 score involvements. He's the shining light for North Melbourne Football Club right now.
Yeah, they've got him more up the ground. So his kicks have more impact. He has more inside 50s. They want him to be like that last kick inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's only helping as much as it can help.
There was I don't know if you could say controversial, but Pink, that plays for the North Melbourne Football Club, had his first game and kicked his first goal. But then there was a 2-minute score review. I know we all talk about the contention of, I think Haji says it every single week, of how ridiculous the score review system is. But it did go for a long time, and kind of beginning of the stages of the game, I don't know. I mean, surely we give like a 30-second window.
Yeah, it still didn't even look that conclusive at the end. And they didn't have any comms. That's what did me in. You're watching it, and there's no score review complete, this is a whatever. They just cut to the shot of the scoreboard, and it just went through the middle, and it's like, okay.
Okay, all right. I guess we'll go back to the center mounts. Oh, man.
It was weird.
But there was 43,123 people attended this game, and I will say... Great. That's pretty good.
Yeah. In the slot that it's in, how cold it freaking is. I don't know what you got to get a heater in there or something. But you go to...
It's not Tassie, brother.
You go to Marvel and it's just cold and windy. Docklands is the windiest place on the planet Earth. And
windy, mate. The roof's over the top. It's not that bad.
No, but they... Up one end where it opens out to like Lonsdale Street or whatever. The wind comes straight through behind the goals. It's just not enjoyable.
No one loves Marvel. Let's just be honest.
No. If it had a heater, just chuck a heater in there.
Oh, geez. It'd be like the NFL players. You get the big jet engine heater on the sideline, just putting their hands in front of it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into this next game because we're recording on Sunday night, and this result just came in hot off the press. Port Adelaide, who was not in front for almost the whole game, has beat Hawthorn 80-79 on the definition of a last-second goal.
It was last second. Because when we came into this room to start recording, we can see the TV, we can see it all panning out. And when we came in, it was like, I think it was like Hawthorn were up by like 28 odd points or something going into the last quarter. We're like, oh, that's done. That's crazy. Yeah. Big win, Hawthorn.
Big upside.
Pretty wild. Let's jump into the start. A few incidents out of this game. Just a prayers up off the top. Ollie Wines subbed out with a heart-related issue. Those ones are always scary. Not good.
We've had a guy that Cale Curry who had to do that back in the day. Never a good thing, but hopefully he's all right. But let's get into the footy side of this because this is such a crazy game. We're big Ken Hinkley fans, and let's just say we saw Ken Hinkley just get a few fist pumps after the game, getting the crowd up and about as you do. And 1-point winners.
This was your cocklock, wasn't it? Port over Hawthorn?
It was. I didn't even think about that. Thank God they beat them. And I full confidence the whole game, Brayden.
Absolutely pulled it out of the fire. Now Hawthorn. We got to give them some kind of props because, as we were saying, they were on top for most of the game. They jumped them early.
At Adelaide Oval, too.
At Adelaide Oval. And it's Blake Hardwick again. His defender turned forward, 22 touches, 5 goals. Pretty amazing performance over there. So, it's not a fluke. Hardwick. Yeah, he was in the arm. He was in
not impressed by that one.
No. But, yeah, he had an amazing game, and he's proved that it's not a fluke because he's done it multiple times now. Let's jump into some other performances. Horny Frank, 27, a goal, 10 score involvements. Dan Houston, 22, 3 goals. Rioli, 14, 3 goals. That's how Port got back into the game, and it was Butters as well. I think he racked up 31 touches, 7 or so score involvements. So he's always in there. Connor Rozee wasn't playing this game, but, you kind of think that Port was going to get it done semi-comfortably, but Hawthorn are a team that, they're a stubborn team. They're not just lying down.
They strike fear in the competition because you can't look past them. A lot of people probably look at them and go, oh, young team, young team. But we've said it last week, I said it weeks prior, they put people to the sword. They're not going to just roll over, and it's a good sign. It's a good sign for them in their future, the ability to have such a young team, have such fight in them to be able to take some of these better teams to the line. Now, this one, you feel for them. You really do. You're in control of this game. You go into the last quarter, you're up by 20-plus points, and you're going, all right, we just need to lock this down, right?
Yeah.
They kick 1 point in the fourth quarter, and Port goes on a bit of a tear, and you just, you feel for him. Oh, the coach's box after. You're looking at Sam Mitchell, and the camera's fixated on him. And he's just looking there in just disbelief of what just happened. And fair call, because every Hawthorn supporter probably be having the same face on that he is having at the moment. But it's just a rough one. It's a rough one. You got this idea of this is such a great win for the club. We'll rally around everyone. Everyone's going to be so excited, hyped, and everything else. And then, bang, you fall straight on your face at the very last seconds of this one. Oh,
and
man.
The fact that
straight
it turned
out
around.
center bounce, inside 50 kick, a little bit of a fumble, you could say, trying to get out to another player. And who's there to mop it up?
DPJ.
DPJ.
Darcy Byrne-Jones with like a little, I don't know what you'd call it, but like a soccer
I'd say.
He bent it around.
Oh,
it's delicious.
Man.
Big celebration.
You see the crowd just go absolutely bonanza.
Saw a few like Port supporters giving the shush to I don't know, who are the players. He's going back, but the camera always finds our boy Kenny Hinkley, who's always there. He's like either telling the Oppo crowd to shut up or he's getting the Port fans up on their feet. And it's bloody good to see. I love a Ken Hinkley celebration.
Ken Hinkley for mayor. That's all I'm going to say.
I feel like the Hawthorn team, once the sting comes out of this one, they got to be happy with what their team's doing because to get rid of most of your leadership group and really start to rebuild from scratch, we've seen it go really wrong. And it seems to be going really right for Hawthorn. They've got a lot of talent. I feel like they really embody Sam Mitchell. Him as a player is what they're showing out there. A lot of grunt determination, but a real hard edge to them. Yeah. They talk a lot of shit. They're not afraid to roll up the sleeves and get dirty. They're going to be good. They're going to be good.
Look, get dirty they did because there was a few fights. I think Guinea was in the middle of a fight at some point.
Surprise.
Who would have pictured that? I mean, that just is so unlikely. And then Zach Butters put down Meek off the ball, which was a bit of an interesting one. I don't know. He's been playing really well, Meek. He's one of the top ruckmen in the league right now. So
interesting one for size comparison. Meek's a big boy, but Butters caught him off guard.
That's the worst, though, is you get someone you're running at a 45 and some defender just comes in.
To you?
Gets you.
It's
happened many a times. Yeah, but that was far out. That was the best game of the round. That was incredible to watch the end of that.
Hey, there's still a game to go.
Oh, man. Now, this is, like I said, being recorded on Sunday afternoon. So West Coast Eagles play on a time zone that is something you would not think is from Australia. They play on what's called the Western time zone, so they're about 70 hours ahead of us. Yeah. They're behind us, and they're playing Melbourne. So we actually are about to watch the beginning of that game.
God, it looks nice over there.
It looks beautiful out in WA. I can't wait to head there next week. It's going to be
warm.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. But we'll get into the last game. That is the Collingwood versus Adelaide game. That was a bit of a thriller over the week too. We're going to jump straight into them because Collingwood scored 78 to Adelaide 74. Geordie kicks the game winner with about 2 minutes left in the game. And this was a bit of a back and forth fight or tussle, as you could say, but a very, very entertaining one for the fan.
Yeah. Well, it did look like you guys were going to start increasing the margin quite early on, but they went bang, 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 kicked 3 quick ones, and it was all back on, and it was pretty tight for the rest of the game. And then it looked like Adelaide had the momentum in the last. And as you guys seem to be able to do, you just shut it down. And it's all the same stuff. It's spent a lot of time in their forward line, but it's a lot of tapping it down to the feet, getting on it, diving on it, and holding it in, slowing it down. Like, you take so much time off the clock, and it's a fine art what you guys are able to do at the moment. But we're back to those close games, and I feel really bad for Adelaide because it's the last 4 encounters you've won by less than a goal, and 5 of the last 6. That's rough.
Yeesh.
Yeah, I mean, Adelaide fans would be saying, just give us one.
As the ruckman do after a game, I walked up to Riley O'Brien. He just goes, "What the fuck, man?" He's like, "Come on, man." He's like, "It's another one. Such a close game. Every time we play you guys, it's such a close game."
It was wild. And Rankine had been talked up all week, so it's a bit hard to, perform under that pressure of everyone saying that, people saying that he is going to be the best player in the comp within the next month. And he comes out, 30 disposals. He had a really eventful game. 30 disposals, kicked almost goal of the year to take the lead with like 4 minutes left.
And I was like, that was incredible. After he kicked it, I was like, yep, that's pretty amazing.
It was wild. It was like, and it couldn't have been any other person.
Oh, no.
And he ran past everyone. It was, I think Crisp started on him. Then it went to Nick, and he ran past Josh, and then it was an amazing goal.
I've got a hunch, though. You said people are expecting him to be the best player of the next month. I'm going to go and obviously say that's an incorrect statement because he did his hamstring over the weekend. I don't think he's been playing much football this month, unfortunately.
So wild.
And it was in like the dying moments of the game on such an enormous effort by him to try to get the ball forward and try to get the W for him. He's done his hamstring at the very end, and you feel for him because he did everything he possibly could to try to get them over the line.
He was so close to doing it. Like he's trying to outrun Josh Dacos streaming down the wing. Long kick into the 50, and I'm not that impartial. And I look at that and I say, we probably see that 30, 40 times a weekend, where, especially from kick-ins and stuff, where people run 25, 30 meters and they never get paid.
Rules are rules, Brayden.
So it was pretty wild.
I almost think there shouldn't be a rule that you have to bounce it. I know it's a crazy thing that might get a lot of backlash and stuff, but I don't think you really should have to bounce it. I think you should be able to run as far as you want.
Yeah.
Why? Just why? Why do we have to bounce it?
Because it's a unique part of the game.
It's stupid.
Yeah, but a lot of it's stupid. The game is a weird game.
Surely we could just run. Why do we have to touch the ground?
Yeah.
Who made that? Like, what was the reasoning behind that? So that slower players can catch up to the fast ones? Is that why? Because I as one of the slowest people in the league, probably, I appreciate that, but I don't think it adds to the spectacle of AFL.
Yeah, if everyone could just run around flat out. It's just another skill. It's another skill that you have to master. Is run. I'm sure you've had a couple of bounces, but imagine running like 26 Ks an hour trying to run and bounce the ball. Is 26 Ks fast?
Yeah, I don't know. No idea. I try to picture you going like as fast as a school zone.
There was one moment where you did a chase down tackle.
Yeah, well, he was running away from goals.
And I feel like he wanted to be tackled.
He did. And I appreciated that because I needed to get a stat on the stat sheet, Brayden. Oh, man.
It was an amazing game. But yeah, finishing on that, Rankine unfortunately did pull his hamstring, which is like, it just showed how he literally ran his body into the ground just to try and win that game. And he was so bloody close. There was another player out there that is arguably the best in the league right now. Nick Dacos, 41 touches, 22 contested, 14 clearances, 7 score involvements, and a goal assist.
Goal assist to win the game, yeah. He's absolutely killing it. And there was some other shout-outs. Now, Scott Pendlebury, I don't know. People say he's a fine wine, you might say.
My goodness,
Good
bro.
Lord.
Early was like, what are you doing?
I'm sitting there going, you've kicked 2 goals. You essentially set up about another 20, I feel like. Like, just the man was everywhere. And I'm sitting there going, I thought Nick was supposed to be, our shining light for the future. I'm sitting here looking at the oldest guy on our playing list going, maybe he is. He's about to hit 400 games, and he's still out there producing.
It's pretty wild.
It's incredible.
He had a whole heap of score involvements, and he was, everywhere early. I think he had like 12 and 2 in the first or whatever.
Absurd.
Kicking those little like snap goals and shit. And he's got that couple of the best pipes you've seen when he does the double arm flex when he kicks a goal.
Well, shout out to the Temple app.
But yeah, and shout out to Steele Sidebottom. He's gone back playing a different role, and every time he comes across and helps out as the spare man and gets a spoil in, not a big boy for the spoil, so like every time he does get in a good spoil, he saves a couple of goals with his efforts, and the boys get right around him. Is that a focus? Are they?
Oh, I think it's just a player who's played, I don't even know how many games now he's up to, but an incredible amount of games. And he's now playing for the first time in his career into the back line. And it's like, you probably go into the back line after that much experience elsewhere going, is this my future? Like, what am I doing here? And he took it on, credit to him. He took it on, all the responsibilities, and he's been killing it. And he's been one of those players. He's one of the most skillful people you can see. He can kick on both feet. And he's one of those players that does put his body on the line, goes for the spoils, and he's got a really good tank so he can run back and forth and try to get back to be the extra and get that spoil over the top. And it's a credit to him over the last couple games or however many games he's been playing back. He's been a good staple down there. So, it's great to see him, still have a lot of diversity in his game, old steel side bottom.
I reckon he started forward, went into the midfield, went on the wing. Now he's playing in the back line. I reckon he's coming for a ruck because it's the last spot that he hasn't touched yet.
I would pay money to see him win a head up. Good
He's got
money.
those hops. He's got the hops. But Fly post-game did talk about moments, seizing moments, and if you can accumulate these moments, hopefully they add up and you win the game. There was a few moments from this one, and he mentioned your spoil late in the game. Drifted back. You did that a fair bit throughout the game, but drifted back, spoiled one over the line to, potentially save a goal. And Q's smother late in the game
that was huge.
Was pivotal, that ended up going up the other end. Talk to us about these moments. Are you thinking this when you're out there, that it's like you're trying to each have these moments, or like?
No, I think they just happen naturally. I mean, I don't think we're sitting there going like one person needs to try to win us this game. We can spread the love a bit in that sense, and it's great to be able to celebrate those things. I think like you look at little things like a spoil or a smother and things like that probably don't get the laudits that kicking a big goal like Jordy did in the very end. But I think as a team, like we get around that quite heavily, and I think we value that at a high value, and that's a sign that sometimes these players that probably don't get the laudits and the love, and we'll talk about another guy, John Noble, who played his 100th game over the weekend. We do value that. Maybe the outside doesn't, but I think inside in the club we do, and that's an important thing. I think that builds a good culture, and people want to play for each other, and whenever you have that positivity of the little things happening throughout the game, it definitely flows on. It definitely flows on, gives confidence to everyone out there. So, there's quite a few little moments throughout the game. I mean, like I said, John Noble played his 100th game. He kicked a goal in his 100th game, and you could see every single player just going up to him and celebrating with him. And it was almost like a player kicked its first goal, right?
Yeah.
The way everyone was celebrating, so they're all hyped up because he shoved off one guy and goes there and kicks one from 40, and you just can tell how much it's meant to him because it's an incredible story. Mid-season draft pick, first mid-season draft pick to play 100 games for a club. That's a little fun fact for you there, Brayden. But he's just been one of those players who, wasn't part of the grand final team, unfortunately, but was a massive reason as to us being able to get there. And, credit to him, he hasn't taken a step back. He's taken a step forward and has really been showing what he's capable of this year. And to see him get 100 games and that goal in that moment was pretty special that he'll never forget.
He does seem to love playing against Adelaide. He kicks those important goals on the run. But, it was amazing all around. Billy Frampton did an amazing job back. He's just a rock.
Lockdown.
But Bobby Hill kicked another goal as he does, but
expected.
But an amazing celebration for Sir Doug Nicholls' round. And it's good to see and celebrate.
It's great that he has the confidence to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
In the game. I think you look back and like this is before my time, but you look back 15 years ago and the way that was looked at. And now for players like that to be able to show a bit of their culture and stuff on the big stage is awesome. Like I sat there, I went up to him after he did it. I said, that was pretty fucking sick, man.
Yeah.
I was like,
he nailed it.
I was like, that was pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, bro.
Yeah, well, you got to obviously look back to Adam Goods that kind of started that, and the talk that was around that at the time, and it was threatening to the audience and all that stuff. It's
crazy.
He really, opened up a lot of opportunity and doorways, and like just to speak about like issues that we have, and it was amazing. And now, it's awesome to see players doing it regularly during Sir Doug Nicholls' round. Awesome to see. One thing that we don't like to see, unfortunately, Will Hoskin-Elliott down with a hamstring injury, and Reef It was like a knee to the head.
Yeah, HIA. He had put into concussion protocol.
Got the wobbles up.
Yeah, not great to see. And another couple forwards that went down. It's been a rough trot for our forward line. We've had a lot of new faces come through there and a lot of different injuries. But
are you going to get any back soon?
I think Bo will come back. Checkers is a maybe this week. So there's a couple that'll come back. I think,
Dan McStay. I saw the video that he put up of him doing all these runnings.
Good. He looks good. I don't know how the situation works with, how confident we are to like put him into a game at what point. I know he's still got a bit to go, obviously. But the way he's looking right now, the way he's running everything else, you wouldn't know he's injured his knee. I'll tell you that. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, we have had a lot of new faces come through the forward line, but it's been a credit and an opportunity for a lot of the young kids to be able to shine, and they have. They've been able to stand up on the big stage and be able to perform under the big lights. So yeah, unfortunate to have another 2 go out this week, but as we have for the last little chunk, we'll have another 2 come in and hopefully play up to the standard.
How are the Pies going? Just in a nutshell, you're back up to 5th on the ladder as we speak. A bit of a slow start, but feeling good now?
I think we're fine. I think we've always backed in the way we play, and I don't know. I think like the beginning of the year, there was a lot of commentary around all this gibberish, but we had mentioned, we had a very tough start to the year with a few different opponents that were top ladder kind of performers, and yeah, it's annoying to deal with because you can write all the headlines before the year even starts, and then you see them get written, you're just kind of like, this is just a stupid experience we're all having, and it's ridiculous. But we get to this point now, we got a little momentum. We do have a few injuries, but hopefully we can keep grinding through that, and I think we're feeling good. We're feeling good. It's we haven't lost a game in 4 or 5 games, I want to say now, with the Anzac draw and everything in between. So, I think the club's in a good spot right now. We're excited to kind of keep playing through this, and we got a nice little trip to Perth this week to play Fremantle, who's been playing really well. So, it'll be another challenge over the weekend.
Take the suntan lotion.
Hey.
What do you head up? When do you head up?
We'll head up on a Friday game. We'll head up on Thursday, I think. Yeah, Thursday morning early. So that's the plan. And
are you good at handling the plane trip over and back?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not too bad. Download a few movies, call it good. I don't know, man.
I always like that you get on the international plane.
We used to. You don't really anymore.
So
you used to get the business class with the full lay-down seats and everything going to Perth.
They give you that little blanket.
The A380s, the big ones that had it was just a spectacle, this thing just getting off the ground, that plane.
Yeah, I like it.
Pretty insane. But that is it for the games this week. Now, we're going to have a big little preview coming up. And West Coast is actually up on Melbourne right now.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but that is it from us for the footy review of the round of Indigenous round. Absolutely incredible what the AFL has produced. You won't hear that coming from my mouth very often. But we are we're done for the day. We're done for the day, and we're going to have another podcast coming out on Thursday to preview the next round. It was an incredible round, almost an upset there with Hawthorn and Port Adelaide, but Port with the last second winners. That was incredible. That was wild. But shout out to them. Shout out to Ken Hinckley before we finish this. You're an absolute legend. Keep jigging. Anyway, that's it from us. Have an incredible rest of the week, and we'll speak to you soon.
See ya.